Welcome to Daily Timothy Time. My name is Carl Coates, and it's a privilege, pleasure, and an absolute joy to be with you once again with an open King James Bible today, Tuesday, the 13th of May, 2025. In the way of housekeeping, and just by the by, if you want to know more about the King James Bible, why it is that ministries such as this promote it all the time and 100% believe that it is God's preserved word through a multiplicity of copies down through the ages into your hands, into my hands today, go along to gracelifebiblechurch.com. There's a section there, why the KJB. Go and have a look at that. You'll be glad you did. Anyway, folks, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a heavy going chapter. There's no doubt about it. As we're going through it, I do offer light commentary. However, that might not be enough to satisfy certain souls that are going through marital issues. If that is you, there is an email address in the album cover. Please get a hold of this ministry, and confidentially we can sit down together. Obviously, it'll be whatever platform we use, and we can run some verses for you to get a better understanding of especially if your marriage is going pear-shaped, as they say. We can run some verses, and it'll certainly help your thinking. Anyway, let's get to reading. We're going to start in chapter 7, verse 6, and see how far we get this morning. Verse 6, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment, for I would that all men were even as myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now they are holy. Folks, there's so much going on in these verses here. There is so much going on. Let me just touch very briefly on a few points here. In verse 7, for I would that all men were even as myself. What does Paul mean then? I submit to you that at the time of writing and in this time of Paul's life, Paul was a single man. He was not married. He didn't have any dependents. Did he have before? Well, I don't know. I can't see it in the scripture. So keep that in mind. If you drop down to verse 14, it's for the unbelieving husband. Unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. That word sanctified is not the word justified. A number of years ago, I used to have the thinking that verse meant that if a married man that was justified and had an unbelieving wife, because he was justified, she would be justified. That's what I thought about those verses. But when you come to study it, that is not the case. What does Paul mean by sanctified then? Well, I submit to you, all he's saying is it's declaring marriage to be right. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we were in the book of Genesis. We spoke about the 4 divine institutions: volition, marriage between a man and a woman, which produces, number 3, family, and number 4 was nationalism or government to protect the first 3. So keep that in mind today as you listen to this and as you take this back to your own personal study. Verse 15, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. Turn over the page. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? God hath distributed to every man as the Lord hath called everyone, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all churches. Folks, once again, a lot going on in these passages here. If you want more information, the email address is on the album cover. Get a hold of us. Or go along to shorebiblechurch.org. You will definitely find a study on 1 Corinthians there, and it's worthwhile checking out chapter 7. Anyway, time's up. Please share this in your socials. Remember, lastly, to keep your sword sharp, soldier. Till we meet again tomorrow, grace and peace to you. Maranatha.